Hey, Bev.
Hey, Sam and Brad.
Hey.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
Hey, maybe this is going to work this time, right?
It sure feels like it.
It sure does. Everybody sounds nice and clear, and
Yeah.
I think third time's going to be a charm.
Gosh, I
agree.
hope so.
I agree.
So we are finally recording with Brad from Coop Dreams and Coop Camp and Coops For Troops. We've kind of alluded to the fact that this has been something we've been working on, so I'm very excited that today is finally the day, and hopefully everybody's internet connection behaves themselves.
Yeah, I will take full responsibility for this having to be the third time on this. Our farm internet is dicey at best.
Oh, I think everybody that lives on a farm can totally commiserate with that.
And it has some good points too. I mean, it does allow you to, disconnect sometimes because you just have no choice.
That's true. That's very, very true. So what are you drinking over there, Sam?
Oh, I just took a sip of it, and it tastes like college and regret.
Is it Natty Light?
No. Brad, do you have a guess?
I would say Bush Light then.
No, you guys are both way off. I was just opening my fridge to find anything that I've never drank on the podcast before. And lo and behold, there's a fruit punch for Loco.
Oh my goodness.
And it tastes awful.
I had no chance of guessing that. I've never heard of it.
I forgot that you would have drinking like fruit coolers, during college. Because I was always a beer person.
Well, Four Loko, I think, has legitimately killed some people. So this is the new version, but it still says 12% alcohol by volume on it. So it's like I'm drinking wine out of a huge can.
Wow.
But it does not taste very good, so it's going to be a sipper.
Sipper.
But what are you drinking, Bev? Hopefully something more delicious.
So it is something more delicious. I can't remember if I've had this on the podcast before, but one of my friends went to Homestead Beer Company the other day, and she brought me over a mixed six-pack of their beer. So I'm drinking a White Elephant Pilsner. And we love Homestead Beer Company because, they're Homestead and they brew beer. So here we go.
Ooh, yeah.
So what are you drinking, Brad?
I'm jealous.
Jealous?
Yeah. I'm at work, so I'm drinking a stupid Smart Water.
Oh.
I know.
Well, that actually sounds way better than what I'm drinking right now, so maybe I'm jealous.
I mean, so does smart water actually make you smarter?
I don't think so because I think probably in my life I've had 36 of these, and I think I'm going the other way.
Oh, but I like the little goldfish on it. It's pretty adorable.
There's a goldfish?
There used to be on Smart Water.
Let me look. Oh, inside, yeah.
Yeah.
That's on the inside of the label.
Oh.
Oh, I never noticed that. That's
Learn
pretty
something
cool.
new every day.
I know. See, I'm so smart, you guys.
That is. You just opened a whole new world for me.
Yeah, well, I do what I can. I aim to please, so. So, this, like we said, is the third time we've tried this, and we've uploaded some of the previous content to Patreon for you guys to check out. But I still want Brad to start off with how he got started with the whole idea of Coop Dreams and Coops For Troops and kind of your origin story.
Sure. Yeah, the origin actually goes way back to 1999. I had the really unique opportunity to serve as a spokesperson for Keep America Beautiful, which is a charity and an organization I was passionate about before that opportunity came along. And in that role, I had to go through all this media training that was just so difficult. And the talking points that I had were about sustainability, reducing your carbon footprint, being better for the environment, recycling. And so when you're talking for months on end about those impactful environmental elements, it becomes really difficult to live in a way that's counter to that. So from that experience in 1999, I've wanted to start moving off the grid, reducing the emissions, and reducing carbon footprint, doing better as far as our reduce, reuse, recycle efforts. And one of the things that certainly was a dominant thought was, would like to start a homestead, grow our own food. The long-term goal, I hate to say it because I'm an introvert by nature, and the long-term goal is to put together a homestead where I never have to leave. Everything is there, and we can just kind of live off the grid and live in a peaceful way. And so one of the things when you're looking at the homestead was chickens. That's one of the first things that I felt was an easy entry point into starting a homestead, because I don't have a green thumb. Bigger livestock felt like more of a challenge, and certainly financially to get into barns and major fencing. And so as I started exploring and reading books and going on blogs and going on websites, I was really disheartened or disillusioned. I don't know if that's a word.
Oh yeah, those are totally words.
Okay.
I was gonna say if they aren't, they are now. So.
Yeah, you made them up.
There's an official record of those words being used.
Yes.
But I got really, disappointed that everything I looked at showed a perfectly manicured yard and coop, and I was like, that's not us. It doesn't speak to us. And I started wondering, can I actually do this? Is this going to cost more? Is it going to take more time? Do I need to have all of these bells and whistles? And do I need to have a perfect flower garden next to my chicken coop? And so we started thinking about, well, there's got to be more people like us that want to do it, but, can't commit to, a perfect chicken run. And so we thought, well, let's see if we can't put some videos together that might help others that are thinking about going down this same road that we are, and show a house that's in disarray, a yard that looks terrible, and see if there are some people that can connect with that. And then we got real fortunate that 5 years ago, Discovery saw some merit in it and gave us a platform to put the show out there. And the growth of it has by far exceeded our expectations and just really overwhelms me every day.
That's so cool. So one of the things that I've learned since we started kind of doing this podcast and doing the homesteading thing and sharing things on Instagram is my fear was always, well, someone else has already talked about chickens or goats or flowers or anything else that I'm going to happen to do around here. But someone once told me that everybody's voice just helps add to the conversation, and people will, what's the word I'm looking for? Connect with people on a different level, even if somebody is, already doing something like that. But it's neat that you got to get in on the ground floor on it and start it, because you're right. Everybody was so Better Homes and Garden.
Well, I think it's a great point, because, you take a look at your podcast, and I've listened to a bunch of them, and you guys have a really unique, kind of relaxed, comfortable way of delivering information and stories that help other chicken keepers. And just like Coop Dreams, we're not going to connect with everybody. We're not going to be answers and information for everybody, but for a certain set of the population, we're a pretty good connection, a pretty good place for them to come and learn and have some fun, as are you guys. And so there's that old saying, I don't know if it's old to me, but it's a rising tide, I think it floats all ships or does something that is good for ships.
A rising tide raises all boats.
That's it. And so, each of us in our own little ways are adding to this conversation, like you say, and helping, new people to backyard chicken keepers, those with some experience, those with some greater experience, have a platform to connect and learn more and help grow and improve their flock.
Yeah, and connect with other people that do what they do also. Because you mentioned, you're an introvert, and I think both Sam and I are both introverts. I know I am.
Oh, yeah.
Sam's the introvert with the theater degree, though.
Yeah. Hey, there's a difference between introvert and, being shy. There's a difference.
That's true. Good point.
And there's no better podcast for introverts than 3 introverts in 3 different cities on this podcast at
Yes,
this time.
exactly.
All alone in our rooms.
Sorry, extroverts. We don't always cater to you, but
That's right. That's
you're
right.
invited to the party. Just don't come to our houses.
Yeah. But it's fun to create a place where people can have like a community together and get to know each other. And I feel like Coop Dreams has really done that, especially with like your Coop Camp that you have going on.
Yeah, and it has. And I tell you, it's frightening at times. I think when we first put it out there, we're not television people. I'm a soccer coach. And so when you put this out there, and I don't know if, especially being an introvert, but for me, opening ourselves up in this world that we're just learning about chickens, and we don't know anything about television, and this show is going out there, and there was it's not fear, but there was we're going to be rejected by the chicken keeping community because we're learning. We don't know anything when we started this show. We're just really learning, and it's on television. So all of our mistakes will be visible to everybody, and we are just going to get blasted. And I can't explain how enjoyable the Coop Dreams community on Facebook has been. When we've made mistakes, they have been there and they have said, we've done that too. Don't beat yourself up over it. Here's what we did to fix it. Here's how we moved on. It has been such a cooperative and collaborative and really beneficial group that it really does overwhelm me almost every day with some comment or some post.
Which is really neat. And, that's always been my philosophy, too, is just to put all my mistakes out there because, I've learned from other people's mistakes. So I always think to myself, somebody is going to say something mean or rude to me. I just have to get over that because there's somebody out there that this mistake is going to speak to and it's going to help them. Yeah. So it's okay.
And we're big believers in that. In fact, when we first started looking at this, instead of just some little web videos and looking at the television side of things, we stood firm on it's going to be unscripted reality. We're going to not go in there with scripts. We're not going to hair pull. We're not going to call people names. There's going to be no, huge fight at the end of each episode. We're going to film the good. We're going to film the bad. We're going to film the successes, going to film the mistakes, and then put the episodes together on the back end. And if you want scripted drama, I can't act, and I have no desire. I'm 54 years old. I have no desire to, and I have no hair. I can't get into a hair pulling contest.
Well, and I think there's something to be said too with having a level of vulnerability in front of it feels weird to call them an audience, but in front of your audience, because if they know that you're being vulnerable and being real, they're more likely to react the same way and have empathy if they have that within them. Mm-hmm. Because you're showing a different side of that and not pretending like it's Better Homes and Gardens 24/7. And there's a time and a place for Better Homes and Gardens and all the gorgeous Instagrams with hundreds of thousands of followers. I'm not knocking that. I wish I had the time and energy and patience to make my house look like that, but I don't.
I'm with you. I think that's a great point on the empathy, and I don't mean to when I talk about our house being in disarray and our yard being in disarray. That's not by choice. We would like to live in a good house with a good yard, but life just gets away from you sometimes. We got 2 kids in college, and then we got the farm, and planting flowers out front is a little bit further down on the to-do list.
Right. Yeah, I totally planted flowers out front this year, but you should see the weeds. I did not follow through on the weeding.
I can relate.
I was going to say, I have 100 tulip bulbs that are waiting for me to plant them before the ground freezes. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Do they go bad? Like if you save those for the spring or for next year, would that work or not?
If I stored them properly, I think that they might. So I'll have to start looking into that. But somebody told me that even if there's snow on the ground, as long as you can work the ground, the tulips can go in. So that's what I'm going for. Because when there's snow on the ground, I'm not going to have anything else to do. I just have to, put on my jacket and my gloves and, brave the weather.
Right, right. Well, good luck. That's 100. That's 100 holes you got to dig, right?
No, right. Well, I think I might just trench them.
Oh, yeah.
Just dig a trench and then drop them
There you go.
See, I'm learning about gardening and stuff like that too. That would have been a thought that wouldn't have crossed my mind, but that seems like a much easier way to do it.
Less holes to dig.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So what do you think is your favorite part of having your very own TV show?
I don't think I've ever been asked that. I might need to think on that.
Ooh, throwing curveballs on a Friday.
I tell you, it'll be my first answer to it. So I can't say that it would be, if I really had time to sit back and think about it, it would be the one that I would say would be the coolest part about it. Mm-hmm. But I think the thing that has been so impactful for me is the opportunity to learn. When we go on and we'll do a field trip, we did a field trip a few months ago in Lubbock, Texas, where we're there for a couple of days learning about organic feed and the whole milling process and how to get organically certified. And, you're there for a couple of days making a 30-minute episode. So there's 20 hours of information that I've been able to absorb and hopefully could remember 20% of it.
Right.
But the opportunity to learn and pick brains and sit down with some really impressive people in all aspects of homesteading and learn from them and take away things that I can bring back to our place have been, or share also on our Facebook page or in some of our other platforms. That's probably been one of the coolest things.
Yeah, I could totally see that being one of the neatest things. Sam and I always feel like when we talk to people, we get to talk to people on this podcast now. We've only done a handful of interviews because we're still pretty new, but I feel like every new person we've talked to, we've gotten to take something from them, which is really special. Mm-hmm. It's something that you don't get to do unless you build this thing where you're hosting and trying to show other people what's going on and what you're doing and what you're working on. And
100% agree. And the part about it too is not being trained in this platform. I hate to go into any of these opportunities really not having done my homework. So, prior to going out to Lubbock, or we've got a trip out to Seattle coming up, prior to doing that, I'm doing so much work on trying to understand the, whatever it is that we're speaking about, so that I can go in with some kind of knowledge and ask some questions that I need to know for my homestead and that maybe some of our viewers or followers need to know for their place. As I don't want to roll in there and miss that opportunity to grab the information and some of the life experiences that these individuals have had.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's really shows how much you have invested into your businesses and the way that you even just, I think it says a lot when a person takes the initiative to do their own research before they go do something or ask questions. I've said that before on this podcast, and I say it in a way where I don't want to be like, don't ever ask me questions unless you didn't Google it first. But I think it says a lot about somebody if they show that initiative and then come with curiosity and really, really good questions.
Well, I'm glad you think that, because when you guys first reached out, I Googled "we drink and we farm" and went on every one of your social media before I replied to anything.
Stalker.
And I fell in love with what you guys do. It's such a cool thing. And so it was like, yeah, I'm so excited to be a part of it.
Well, I did the same. I was like, I need to find this and I need to record it on my DVR and I need to watch some of this so I can understand what he's about, because I don't want to not do any research. Yeah. So I have some still recorded that I need to check out, but I give it an A+. It's entertaining. I think I watched one where there were goats and they introduced a buck and they were just you guys were trying to get him to breed.
Hey, that's actually happening tomorrow. too.
Oh.
We are
Ooh.
rebreeding, and so we've got a guest buck. His name is Fluffy, and he is all white. So we're going to have this all white buck visiting for a month, and going to be, I mean, it just, the magic of goat breeding and kidding and the baby goats is just so incredible.
Oh, I'm
It
so
really
excited
is.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a buck here, and his name is Little Toot. His actual name
okay.
is Loki, but I started calling him Little Toot when I got him when he was a week old. And then he was really cute, and the breeder came over to disbud him. And she's like, "Oh, look how proper his form is. If you ever want to breed him, let me know." So I was like, "Oh, maybe I won't, turn him into a wether." But I did not prepare myself for the level of stink.
Oh my goodness.
It is unreal. He's still so cute, and he's my little toot, but good Lord. That smell is just next level.
It's the thing about it too is if they even so for those that have never had a buck, they pee on their beard in a way to attract does. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so they
So
have this
sexy.
unbelievable. If you are even brushing up against the buck before you have to go to work, you got to completely change clothes and shower because you
Oh,
will
yeah.
carry it for the rest of the day.
I swear I've never even touched him sometimes. I've been on the other side of the fence, but I've been really close to him, and it just like sinks into my clothing. He is just... Ugh.
Yeah, stings the nostrils.
Yes, it does, but he's
Yes, it
very
does.
cute, so...
They are adorable. I had no idea that goats were such awesome animals until a couple years ago.
They're gems. The cuteness level makes up for some of the grossness, and I'm excited because we think that we're going to have some baby goats in February, March. So
Oh, how awesome.
we'll get to experience that whole adventure.
I'm just a little behind you. I can't breed my goats I'm waiting to breed my goats until they're over a year. Some people do start breeding them a little early, but I've read that for their health, it's best to
Right.
wait at least a year.
I've
So
heard
that's what
that
we're
too.
doing. Yeah, so end of January will be the first one.
What kind of goats do you guys have?
Nigerian dwarf goats.
Okay.
I have the same.
Same here.
Yep.
Same here.
So we all have the same
Yay.
goats.
Oh, same goats. We like to drink and farm. Look at us. 3 peas in a
Yep,
pod.
look at that.
3 peas in a podcast.
Oh.
Ooh, spin-off. So I guess since I asked what your favorite part or the coolest part was, what do you think is the most challenging part of having your own TV show?
Probably in really it's tough to say because I also enjoy it because we're learning right along with our viewers and our followers and it's pretty cool to be a part of all of us sharing information together. But it does become tough sometimes that every problem I make is exposed. I don't want to hide them,
Yeah.
but and certainly if there's anybody that can learn from, a predator taking our chicken or, something happening where we get a sick chicken and it was because, we made a mistake doing something. It's the amount of guilt that I feel just that the animal is suffering or the animal is struggling is tough. And then, being an introvert, sometimes I just like to have that misery to myself.
Yes.
But again, I'll tip my hat to the Coop Dreams audience is that the kindness that they have shown me and my family in, some of our darkest moments in this show I would have never expected it. And I'm just blown away every time it happens. It's anytime something happens to one of our animals, the genuineness and the sincerity in the posts, and it's the sadness from some of our followers is heartwarming. That in those grief-stricken, sad moments, that we do have this community that understands and we can share it with.
Yeah, I've experienced that a bit on Instagram too, and it kind of restores your faith in humanity a little bit.
100%, 100%, which I had lost multiple times over the last decade.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's totally, yeah. And, Brad, I didn't get a chance to tell you this, but so I've actually been a follower of Coop Dreams for a long time. I didn't realize that it was a TV show for some reason. I don't know how I had missed that until we talked to you more recently. But I actually learned something from something that happened to one of your goats when you had a goat die of tetanus.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So I was originally not going to vaccinate any of my goats, but then after I read your story, I learned how to vaccinate and I vaccinated all of my goats myself.
That makes me happy. I mean, that was Wyatt Earp, and it was it was so difficult to watch him go through this, and it was just the way that tetanus affected him. It was just this slow erosion into his passing, and immediately we vaccinated the rest of them. And so I don't know philosophically where I stand on vaccinations. I don't think I've pulled it apart in my head yet, but I don't want to go through that again, and am grateful that, it helps people. And, I'm assuming it has helped your herd, and hopefully it helps your herd and keeps you guys safe from things. But that is a benefit of the tough parts, is that, sometimes we can prevent somebody from stepping in the same hole we just did.
Yeah, totally. And, because we don't want to upset anybody depending on, whether they vaccinate their goats or don't. But the reason why I decided to, after hearing your guys' story, was I just thought that prevention would be the key for me, since I didn't know anything about goats.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wouldn't have known what the symptoms were or how to treat it. And, there's not a lot of vets that take care of farm animals.
Well, I'll tell you, we took it to 3 different vets when you noticed something was wrong. Excuse me. And the first 2 vets didn't pick it up. And so even a trained, somebody that's had goats for a while may miss it. And so, and again, I am the last person to tell anybody how to do things on their homestead. I'm not going to sit here and preach about vaccination or non-vaccination. I think those are all personal choices that we each have to make with our level of tolerance and our understanding of issues. But the part that I'm grateful with is, you go through that and you've already lost a goat, and then you're, second guessing every decision that you've made. And again, our followers were compassionate and not judgmental on the fact that we didn't vaccinate, and were supportive. And so it was a great learning opportunity, because I think had this decision and this tragedy been met with a lot of judgment and scorn, I think the word scorn that I want to use, I don't know, but if it would have been met differently, I think it would have made it even more difficult to get through that moment.
Right. No, that makes sense.
So let's lighten the mood up a little bit.
No kidding. Sorry to drive your podcast into this dark place.
You know what? We tend to do that anyways.
Holy cow.
It was me that drove it, because I really wanted to tell you that. And I was like, maybe the podcast isn't the place to do it.
No, actually, Bev, it does make me happy, because if we're going to go through something that tough and it helps somebody else, great.
Yeah. Well, and so something else I'll mention, and Sam and I have mentioned this on the podcast before too, but there is a goat antitoxin. So if you don't vaccinate your goats, and you can recognize the signs of tetanus, you can keep the goat antitoxin for tetanus in your refrigerator, and you need 1 vial per goat, and then you got it covered. So if you can recognize the symptoms of it and not vaccinate, and you have that on hand, then it can all be taken care of. But all of that is stuff that you learn from watching, Brad, or hearing things from other people. Like, I didn't just know all of that information. I got it all from a number of different sources and watching other people's stories. So,
well, hey, I just learned that from you right now. So that's a big benefit.
Yeah.
That returned the favor.
Yay.
So I want to know more about Coop Camp. So what is Coop Camp, and what do you guys do at it?
Well, so my training is as a soccer coach, and one of the ways that I've been taught and learned how to teach, the kids that come to our camps is through that whole kind of forum of bringing in guest coaches, and they run sessions. And so I thought it might be kind of cool, since I know how to run a camp. it might be kind of cool if we bring in a whole bunch of different speakers instead of coaches, and presenters and workshops, and people that have an interest in learning about backyard chickens and want to engage in a community of like-minded people. You can come for a weekend, and I think there's somewhere between 13 and 15 presentations on all different stuff, fun stuff, medical stuff, feed stuff, egg stuff, all different things. And then on the breaks, there are also workshops where, like this last year, we made our own lip balm from beeswax. We made our own lotion from goat's milk. We learned from a photographer how to take better pictures. You know, there's all these features on an iPhone on how to really do some pretty impressive stuff with the camera part of it. But the only thing I ever knew was point and press. And so, you know, the photographer gave us a lot of pretty cool instruction on, you know, how to jazz up some of your pictures and do some different things with it. And then we've just got cool speakers. So it's a great way to learn. Great way to meet a whole bunch of new chicken friends. We had our 5th one this last year. We're getting ready to announce our 6th one pretty soon. So I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah, I know.
Oh, we're so excited about it too.
Yeah, we need to have you guys there.
Yes, please.
We're doing everything we can to make sure we can make it there.
Awesome. I'm thinking May. Right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking May. So we've got a little bit of time.
Good deal.
Well, May is a good deal because, you know, if it's in the Midwest or northern United States, the snow should be gone by then.
Yeah. Well,
Hopefully.
we've had our first one was in Indianapolis. Our second one was in Virginia. Third was in Phoenix. Fourth was in Texas, and then the 5th was in Indianapolis again. And so it's tough to find a spot where we can connect with everybody because, you know, the show has gone international right now, and we've got people from different countries that want to come, and, you know, we just can't find a location that's going to fit everybody domestically and everybody internationally. And so I think we just need to settle on one of these spots and roll with it, and whoever can make. And we're also looking at something that, you know, might kind of be in your wheelhouse, is looking at having some of the sessions actually done online. And so if you can't make it, that, you know, we can film it and stream it, and people can still be a part of Coop Camp without physically being there.
That's super cool.
That would be amazing.
Well, yeah, technology is not my gift, as you saw when my elbow was on the button that muted everything. So that's a dream, but I don't know if it'll actually happen.
You might need an IT guy.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's super cool. Well, I'm really excited for Coop Camp because I'm really excited about the social aspect of it. I live so far out in the country that I don't get to necessarily hang out with people much unless I'm like doing something at my kid's school or I'm hanging out with my family. So what I love about Coop Camp is that us that live somewhere that's far enough that we're not close to a lot of people, we can still go and socialize. So like my socialization will be totally full after Coop Camp, and I will be totally exhausted and wanting alone time. But I'm really excited.
Well,
about
you
it.
say that. You say that, but here's an interesting thing I see on Facebook, because, you know, the people that come to Coop Camp, we keep them fairly small. We want them between 50 and 70 people, so everybody gets to know one another. And we've actually been fortunate that I think there's been a half a dozen people that have come to every one of the Coop Camps.
Oh, wow.
But what's neat is when you're looking at our posts on Facebook and we recognize a name because, you know, I see it and it's somebody I met at one of the Coop Camps, and then you see them post something, and the comments and the posts, you recognize the names of other Coop campers. And so even though they're spread out all over the country, they've got this connection and this bond that has come from the camp where, you know, just like we did as kids in the summertime, you know, they connect once a year in whatever city we're in and come to Coop Camp.
That is so cool.
It is. It's been fun. It's been fun.
So something else that we need to ask you about before we run out of time is Coop For Troops. So not only do you have a TV show, Coop Dreams, and you run and organize the Coop Camp, but you also do a lot of good in the community with Coop For Troops.
It is a, you know, one, I don't ever forget how blessed we are to, to have opportunities like we have, not just with the show, but the homestead, if there was no show with it, the opportunity to have a homestead and to live this way is pretty cool. And the first season we were on a field trip down in Austin, Texas, and the people we were visiting took us to a nursing home, and the nursing home had a chicken coop there, and they actually utilized the chickens as therapy animals for their residents. And the impact on both the chickens and the residents was so impactful that we walked out of there thinking, oh my goodness, there's something really special. And you know this, when you've got animals, there is a special connection with them. But we walked out of there going, there's something really, really special about chickens in this capacity. And we didn't think about chickens as therapy animals. You think that traditionally you're thinking of dogs and
right.
other animals. And so we started doing some research, and everything that you pull up, and there's some things, I think it's called I forget the name, for heaven's sakes. It's in England, and it's a group in England, and they've got a really cool Facebook page, and they utilize chickens as therapy animals. And the more we Googled and the more we looked at it, you start seeing studies that have shown chickens are good for people with depression, good for people with loneliness, loss of self-worth, that they return self-worth. And then the buzzword that kind of tipped it for us was chickens have been shown to be positively impactful for people suffering with PTSD. And that immediately moves your mind to the military. And so we're thinking about all of these individuals who have served and sacrificed and maybe struggling with some of the impact of conflict, that getting chickens a coop and supplies could be a good way to help them with the loneliness, depression, loss of self-worth. And not just for those that serve, but for the military family, the kids who are stressed because a parent is in harm's way and is deployed, that this can be a connection that they can have and a way to distract them a little bit until the parent comes home. And so we thought, hey, we're starting to get all these relationships with all these great people in the chicken keeping community. Maybe we can put together these packages where we can give a gift to a veteran and military family. And we were just going to do it as a segment in one episode of Coop Dreams. And the response to it was so great that it has actually spun off into its own show. And we've got 11 episodes of 11 different veterans and military families that we've presented coop chicken supplies to. We actually have one next week down in Kentucky, where our next veteran, the next person that was nominated and selected is, and just really grateful to be able to present on behalf of all these great companies and the people that buy some of the stuff on our Shop Now button. 100% of the proceeds go to continue to allow us to give these gifts. So we're just so grateful that we have the ability to be that vehicle that can say thank you and offer some comfort and some relief to those that are struggling.
I love hearing about it and how it started. Yeah, I had never thought of chickens as therapy animals either until I joined Instagram. I'm a little behind on the social media thing and like the technology, but once I got on Instagram, I recognized and started reading things from people about how their chickens made them feel. And I always just thought of them as like, kind of egg layers
Right.
that were a little sassy. But like when you go out there and really spend some time in your coop and get to know them, like they really are. They're like a calming force in the barnyard.
It's incredible. I would have never guessed it either if we had not visited that nursing home. Even though after a long, stressful day, I can go sit out there and feel calmer by just watching them scratch and peck, I would have never connected all of the therapeutic benefits of raising chickens. It wouldn't have crossed my mind.
I even find like just the act of doing chores and having something to take care of other than myself and obviously my husband and my stepchildren. Having something that makes you get out of bed and go do chores because they're dependent on you.
Right.
And they're just so damn funny to watch. Like,
They really are.
even when the egg count is low, like
Yeah.
the comedic relief is enough for me to keep feeding them.
It really is. Yesterday I did a Facebook Live in the morning because we're reintegrating a rooster that got picked on back into the chicken yard.
Pokey Jr.
And-
I've been watching
Yep.
those.
Pokey Jr. We're trying to get him back into the chicken yard, and we opened the coops in the morning, and there was snow on the ground, and there wasn't snow when they went to bed, and nobody wanted to come out. And there was a couple of them that came out, stood on the front step, and just had that look that said, "Oh hell no," and went right back in.
It was super awesome to watch. It was therapeutic watching that on my computer screen, and I could have gone and just experienced that myself in my backyard, but
Well, tonight we're playing Chicken Poop Bingo tonight. So if you're free tonight, you can jump on. We got a Facebook Live where we're giving out some pretty cool prizes and having some fun.
and Jessica from First Saturday Lime is going to be there because I talked to her on the phone yesterday.
She is awesome. I so love that story behind that company.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think we talked about it in one of the phone conversations early on. It's just how there's so many good people between, First Saturday Lime, you guys, Henny and Rue, and how, eventually we all just keep finding each other.
Oh yeah, and Grubblies too.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah, Grubblies is going to be the treat that hopefully motivates the athletes in the Chicken Poop Bingo
Oh,
tonight.
nice. I love that. Yeah, and in fact, for the listeners, and Brad, if you haven't heard it either, we interviewed Jessica from First Saturday Lime. It was our very first interview ever. And the episode is called Drinkin' Lime, and it's absolutely hilarious. And you
Oh my
learn
God, it
something.
was.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know how to describe this episode. It was like, I don't know, it was amazing.
It was to the point where we almost had to cut some of it because it was just so ridiculous by the end.
We did have
But
to
it-
cut some of it.
but it was so informative on the front end, and then it just got weird, which made my heart so happy.
Yeah, it was like the epitome of what this podcast is.
Yes.
Well, I am right now pulling up your website because I am going to listen to that on the way home,
Oh, good.
and that might give us some additional talking points for our Chicken Poop Bingo tonight.
Oh, awesome. I have to see if I can join in on it. Of course, I'm going out tonight. I actually got a sitter and get to go do something. So
Well, we'll post it, so if
Oh,
you're not
good.
there live, you'll be able to.
I'll get to
see
rewatch it. Awesome. So, Brad, before we wrap up, we have to ask you if you have any like funny or weird farm stories that you can share with everybody.
Yeah, because you both are in this, that you could laugh every day, you could cry every day. I mean,
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm laughing and crying at the same time.
So there's so many little. I think probably the thing that stands out. Maybe it was because throughout my life, pain and embarrassment have been my best teachers. We added bees this last year, and really cool. They're fascinating, and kind of like everything else, you get a little bit desensitized when nothing happens. So I'll go with the tractor and I'll cut right in front of the hive. Nothing. They're flying all around. They're buzzing all around. They don't bother me at all. Nothing happens. I'll go in, I'll open the hive up and look around. I'm not bothering them. They're not bothering me. No problem. So I got a little bit careless and needed to, as they make honey, you need to put more frames in and add other chambers on for them. And so I had my bee coach on the phone. He was going on speakerphone. He was going to talk me through it. And since I hadn't been yet stung, and we're 2 to 3 months into it, I'm thinking, hey, the bees and I, we're cool. We all get along. And so I don't like spending money. So I got a really cheap bee suit. I have really long arms, so it didn't go all the way down to where my hands were. And anytime I would reach, it would go up to my elbow. The sleeve would go up to my elbow. So there's this big exposed area, and I wasn't overly concerned because nothing had ever happened. And he had told me you need to get these other kind of bee gloves, and I'm like, forget it. I'll just get normal gloves. And so I had normal gloves on and this bee suit that didn't fit, and went in, and you can hear the tone in the bees change, and you can hear it on the video. It just goes in this it's funny to watch now because it's just kind of this slow hum until this point where even if you had never experienced a bee before, you would know they're not happy. And as it started to, and I'm saying to my coach on the phone, I'm like, hey, should I close it up now? Something's about to go. He's like, you can't. You open it. You gotta finish this and then close it. And so the first one stung on my wrist, and then as I'm reaching for things, I have the wrong gloves on. They're starting to fly in my gloves, inside the gloves. Now they're stinging my hands and my arms, and every time I'm getting stung, you got this knee-jerk reaction where you have this reflex where your arm goes, and then another one stings, and then it was a hot summer day, so the veil was sticking to my face, and so they were stinging my face through the veil. And I think it was about 24 stings that I took before I could get everything finished and closed up. And I had so much bee toxin in me that and I was so swollen. My arms were just, it looked grotesque. I could not get off the couch the next 2 days because of this. And I'm taking Benadryl. I'm doing whatever I can to try to get my face and my arms down to a normal size. And I honestly thought I was going to die.
Oh my God.
But now I look back on it and it's funny because
I almost died, but it's hilarious.
I'll never make that mistake again.
So, lesson learned, do not cheap out on beekeeping gear.
Exactly. Right. Yes, learn from that.
I will have learned 2 things from Brad now. Well, thanks for joining us, Brad.
Oh, I had an awesome time.
So fun, and I'm so glad our internet behaved for almost a whole hour. Yay!
I know, me too. Yay!
Yeah, we all know who's to blame there, but I appreciate you guys sharing in that responsibility.
We're so new at this. Like we never automatically assume that when things go wrong, it's somebody else's fault. We always assume it's ours.
That's a good place to be. I think we have a lot of that too, and it might just be, I'm assuming you guys weren't trained in podcasts.
Nope.
No.
We're not trained in TV. You learn as you go. So I think sometimes you're actually more receptive to ideas and mistakes, and sometimes you take, like for the internet, you took the blame when it was probably my internet. But I think that's a good thing. I think it keeps you grounded.
I know you disagree, but you're kind of a big deal, so we were happy to put up with it.
Yeah.
I strongly disagree. Strongly disagree.
That just makes it more fun for me to say it.
It does.
Great. We're already going to start picking at each other. Good. I'll get you back at Coop Camp.
There we go.
Well, maybe we'll even have you back on when the official time is announced and it's closer, so we can get people excited.
Oh, for
maybe
sure.
even watching virtually if that does become an option this year.
We'll have links to everything, Coop Dreams, Coop Camp, Coop For Troops, and everything else that we discussed in the show notes so that everybody can find it if they haven't found it yet. And we'll also have links to the Facebook so that you can join in on, is it Friday Introverts Club that you always do?
Friday nights Introverts Club.
Okay, yeah. So every Friday Brad does not every Friday, but every Friday that he does an Introverts Club on Facebook, and it's like a Facebook Live. They play games, there's prizes and stuff, and it's tons of fun. So listeners won't get to join in on the one that has Jessica from First Saturday Lime on it because it's happening tonight, like while we're recording. But you'll get to join in on the future ones. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate you guys sharing that. And certainly when you know the date for this and you have that link, let us know so we can share as well.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and being on. We really appreciate it. And thanks for listening, guys that listened. We always have a great time.
Hey, I loved it. Thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, you're so welcome. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.